Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. There's no public comment. Everybody had a chance to review the minutes?
I didn't see anything.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0. Commissioner comments and committee reports.
I have nothing.
I have none.
I would like to let everybody know I'm going to be going to the Kansas County Commissioners Association next Tuesday afternoon, and so I'll report back what things are. You always learn something every time you go to something.
You're going to leave after our meeting.
So we actually have a meeting on
You're going to
Tuesday.
be on next Tuesday, you said?
I'm going to be gone next Monday and Tuesday.
That's what I just told you, Tuesday. Okay, so let's go on to new business before the board. Jackie Perjant, Atchison Chamber of Commerce. Nice sitting up here in the chair where we can see the back of your head.
Just move right up here. Yeah.
Thanks for getting all that information.
Yeah,
Thanks.
absolutely. Sorry, I apologize. I missed it the first time. I was
Okay.
hurrying yesterday.
You know, we're trying our hardest to be consistent. And we've done it kind of hit and miss over the years.
Yeah, no. It's
And we
fine.
wanted to
It's
advance.
fine.
It was easy to sit out at home and look at it. I don't
Sure.
have as many questions.
Yep.
So
Yep, I
it
understand.
seems like this, well, first of all, this festival is something Atchison's known for, among other things.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we go anywhere, it's Amelia Earhart, Benedictine College, Haunted, pretty much are the first three things that pop up.
Nail Hills.
Nell Hills, still
Yeah.
once in a while. Yeah, is that store still there?
Yeah.
Usually they can't remember the name, but you know that store?
No, but
Yeah. And I do tell them. I say, you know what? It's not, but there's another store there, and they're doing great.
you know, when we travel a fair amount, when people say, where are you from? I always say Atchison, Kansas. I don't say Kansas City. And it's amazing the number of people
It is.
know what we're talking about. Some people have no clue. But, oh, is that over there in the middle of the state? Well, that's
Right. Yeah, we
there's more
get
that know that
confused
don't.
with Hutchinson.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes there's confusion with Abilene. Is
Yeah.
that where that library is? That presidential library? No, that's Abilene. But that's the two things that we kind of get confused with sometimes. But
So you're pretty happy with how the tourism's marketed right now?
I think so. I'll share what we're doing right now. We've been approached by a lot of people, and I think downtown all wants us to get our marketing arms out a little farther, you know, bring people in from the region. And so I kind of, in the back of my mind, I've always thought that video was really important and known that was really important, but just tried to figure out how we could do it affordably. And so Susan and I both had TV stations come and give us this presentation, and that kind of clicked for me because I know I'm 62 years old and I don't watch commercials on TV anymore.
Yeah.
You know, people just don't. Younger people aren't even watching regular TV; they're watching Netflix and Hulu and all that. So I went and talked to Mike Twombly at Harvest Video and said, "Tell me what we could do, 30-second videos." And just put together a proposal. So he put together a proposal for what they would do is they would give each store 2 hours. They'll end up with a 30-second video. They'll end up with 3 other pieces that are very social media friendly. So an infographic, a cinematographic, which I didn't even know what that was, and then a still with information on it. So his price to do that is $1,010 for each person, which is a steal, really, if you go to the greater market. But it's also too much for a lot of our people. Yeah. So we've cut back on a few of our print ads in places that I feel like we could do that, and to save some money there. And then I've written a grant, and we had one group show up and look at the proposal, and we're going to offer it to them for $250. So they'll essentially get a $1,000 package for $250. We feel like it's a really, really good marketing tool. And one of the ideas that came up Angela's idea was, she said, I've always thought it would be fun to have on my checkout, some video. So the thought was, among those first people that came, was that it would be fun if everybody got one of those picture frame things that you can buy that have gotten fairly reasonable now, and everybody get everybody else's, and just, when I'm standing in line to pay my bill at 5th Street, I'm going to see the video for Back Road Atlas, or I'm going to see the video however long I stand. Is
You could buy a 55-inch monitor for
right.
$300.
Yeah, there's just
it's
pretty
small.
inexpensive ways to do that. So I'm hoping, and again, that's something they would do on their own, but I think that's a good idea. So we'll be promoting those videos. The videos they get will be theirs as well, so they can do whatever they want to with it. But the plan is that when 5th Street does his, that immediately Backroad's going to share it, and Gateway's going to share it. And so pretty soon you have this network, and we'll stagger them. We don't want them all to go out at once, but that you'll have this network of amazing videos. I mean, Harvest has just done a tremendous job for us on some other stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that. I think it's a really good way.
Somebody explained that to me the other day.
Yeah,
It's not
to
really
extend our reach. I think that's a good way to do it. And 30 seconds is plenty long. You get much longer than that, most people won't.
So many retailers, they're really happy with their local customers, but they really depend on that outside.
Absolutely. Yeah,
People
they need
that
the
do-
outside
especially
people.
especially if it's like
That's what,
guitars or something.
yeah, that's what's going to make the difference in their success, is pulling in regional people. So, so I'm excited about that. They've got all the paperwork, and got to get the paperwork back in. And then we had an agreement that they have to have their dues paid up with us, but then they also have to pay the $250 before we film, because I've always had a few people that are a little slow pay.
Yeah.
So, but as soon as we get 4 or 5 of them, Harvest is ready to go. So I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be pretty awesome.
Well, they've done a very good job on the ad that they used for the county at the
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
It was a very good.
Yeah,
Commercial.
they just do a really good job. They
Are you
really
going to be doing
do.
that again this year with a video?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Are you going to do new ones or the same? Or?
It's up to you if you want to do new ones.
We might want to review that and just look and see if there's
Yeah,
if it's
maybe look
adequate
at it
or
and see.
if we need something
It was
to
pretty
update.
generic to what we're all
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
we don't
I
want
think that
somebody
would be up to
be a
you.
spokesman that doesn't work here anymore either.
It's
Yeah,
hard.
yeah, so I think we ought to review that.
Yeah, and again, that'll be up to you. If you want a new one, absolutely. If you want to reuse the other one, we can do that too. It's either way.
So you're asking for the $7,500
thing.
you've been
Yep,
asking for,
same thing.
and you're asking for how much with the?
Amelia is the same thing.
Same
They're
thing.
both. I think they're both 7,500.
Anything new with the Amelia Festival?
No, it's going to be not as hectic, I think, because we're not going to have all that extra stuff, the chasing Amelia stuff going on. Probably one of the exciting things for me is that about 3 years ago now, Karen and I went to Ireland, to Derry, where Amelia landed when she flew the Atlantic, and met a group of ladies over there that are trying very hard, because they have like a 32-member city council, and they are having a hard time getting those 32 people to understand how important Amelia is to Derry, and how important it would be for them to keep promoting her. So we went over and visited on the anniversary of when Amelia landed, and have been in constant contact with them. And I think we've got a couple of them going to come and be a part of the symposium this year.
There's an Irish town that branded themselves in the ancestral home of Barack Obama, and it's been a big boom. For
Right.
them.
It's just, they just struggle. It's just, it's a big council, and some of them think it's okay, and some of them think, nah, that doesn't matter. And so I think if we could get them here too and show what it's meant to this community. And
The air show going to be different this year? Or?
we'll have 2 people this year in the air show. We are going to bring Julie Clark back. I know she was just here last year, but she is retiring, so this is kind of going to be her grand finale. But then we've got another plane as well that'll fly. So.
Have we got more questions?
Can't think of anything.
This is probably stupid, but the people we just okayed for fireworks, would they be big enough to supply maybe their fireworks? That's more commercial.
Well, I think they've got an arrangement, but this particular gentleman we're talking to today is just going into the commercial side.
Oh wow.
He's in the retail side.
Yeah.
But and he's
Gonna
from
be
Atchison. He doesn't live here now. He lives in St.
Yeah.
Louis.
Interesting.
He's going to open a fireworks stand on the west side of town. So.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. No, I know Paul or his people. He does. I don't think he goes anymore. Paul's getting quite up there in age, but they go to China and buy them direct in China for the shows. They do.
Yeah, they're made. A lot of them are made in Guangzhou, which is just a quick train ride over from.
Yeah. We did that train ride once.
I've done it many times.
Yeah, we did it once.
Back when it was a Canton train.
I can't think of anything.
Okay. Hey, thanks,
Okay.
Jackie.
Hey, you're welcome.
If you ever need anything, let us know.
Okay. Yeah. If you need me, just holler.
Okay. I don't think Phillips coming again. I don't think she had all the answers for this agreement and resolution. Pat, you allow?
Yeah, it is. I do not have that done. Was that on the agenda?
It's on the agenda.
Who?
Kim Pruitt, the market agreement and resolution.
Not on this agenda.
And I don't think Pat had it done.
So have you got a paper that we can go ahead and pencil that in? We're probably gonna approve that, so that's done, 75 to 75.
I accidentally left it over. I printed.
Okay.
Okay, so since we're not going to have them on our next appointments at 1:45, did we want to go into executive session for half an hour?
Yeah. For attorney-client.
Or for
Well,
personnel matters?
personnel.
Personnel and non-elected, K.S.A. 72.
Yes. I'll move that the Board of County Commissioners recess into executive session at 1:13 to discuss personal matters of non-elected personnel as allowed by K.S.A. 75-4319B1, and that the purposes of the closed session is to protect the privacy rights of the employee, and that the Board of County Commissioners come out of executive session at 1:45 p.m. in the commission room, first floor courthouse, and those present will be 3 commissioners and Pat Henderson, county counsel.
I second that.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0.
The back of our hair, but look at your faces.
We're not exactly. Well, welcome.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, sorry about the confusion of just not having the information.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Yeah, we had
Yeah.
it. So.
Yeah. Okay, good. I didn't know there was confusion.
Oh, you didn't know that.
I didn't know it yet.
Yeah.
My email.
Oh, it was in your email? Oh, you're Michelle. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, what's going on with the Art Association?
Everything. We are progressing on public art in Atchison, as you probably have noticed. Some pieces went up last year. We did 2 pieces last year. And this year we are really preparing and planning for 2020. We have 2 pieces that we're going to put in 2020. I don't know if you're familiar with the overall project that we're doing. We're doing a series of 6 public art sculptures. Collectively, they're called the Vision of Our Culture, and they're really putting art in places in our community where our culture is developed, where it's nurtured, where it can be found. And in 2020, we are doing a piece on history, and a piece on art that'll be a fine art sculpture. So we are here today to kind of answer any questions that you may have about anything that we've done or that we're going to do in the future. We're asking for $1,000 for 2020.
And if you're not familiar with the 2 pieces that we did last year, we did Root to Rise, which is a kinetic sculpture on 10th and Main. It's an 18-foot sculpture by 14 feet in length.
and moves independently in 3 different pivot points. And then we did the library stairs with the mosaic, which was a huge community project. Actually, was voted on and was actually that design was picked. So these are some pieces that our community is involved in as well. They have true community roots and meaning.
I've actually seen a duplicate to that.
Yes. You've seen what?
No, I've seen a duplicate of that
Yeah.
piece in another location.
Oh, really?
It's not on stairs, but it's on a wall. It's an arbor scene. It's in Guatemala. I'll take a picture of it.
Oh, cool.
There's
Nice.
some artists go around the world
Huh. Yeah.
doing little things like this.
So Lorna Garrison, she moved into our community probably 2 years ago, and she had started coming to the Art Association and had told me that she had some experience in marketing, which is one of our weak points. It's really hard to get help in marketing. And I said, do you want to come work with us a little bit? And so she came in, and I told her about the idea that we were doing at the library, and she came up with our designs and sent them out. And so
Actually cast some of the pieces.
oh
in
yeah,
there.
she's an
The
artist.
birds, the apples, the bees were cast individually and set in that mosaic tile.
I think it was
Pretty
as a tree
amazing.
city, and I mean, it really fits in there.
It does. It was very difficult to grout because everything was different sized. But we used dental picks and cleaned it all off, and it worked out. It's beautiful. Yeah.
So what do you need $1,000?
We've been doing some grant writing, which is what we're preparing for this year. We do have a little bit to finish up on Route to Rise that we want to fix this year. That was what our project was. So the grants that we're applying for, we're trying to find resources that we have available to us that are close, that care about our community and what we're doing, and realize how much this is impacting tourism and the pride in our town. And so that's a big piece of it. These are some bigger projects that we're doing again, and one of them will be at the art gallery, and the other one we're looking at a very prominent downtown location. So that's really why they're bigger pieces, and we are trying to use all our resources available.
So this would be matching money to the grants?
Yes. Yes.
And we were trying to, did we give you anything for 2019?
For 2019?
Yeah.
So you gave us $400 that I did not cash. I have a $400 check from the county that I did not cash, that I was just waiting for an okay, because they wanted me to come and talk to you about the things that we're doing.
I think the check went out with the application, but it was not cashed
Oh,
for 19.
okay.
Yeah.
But it wasn't
last year-
budgeted, correct?
That was not budgeted, but the Dubs was, and we didn't do the Dubs.
Oh.
So
I don't know what that means. Does it need to go to Doug?
that's another.
Oh, okay.
No, we've not done anything with it yet because you guys needed to.
So do you have any problem letting them cash the check, or do you want to have the check back?
Since it's basically negative, I would be okay with them having it. I think part of the problems with that is we didn't have anybody come up last year and make a
Right.
presentation, and it was like we didn't know whether there was ongoing
So-
turmoil or what. You know,
No, so
and-
so what we did last year, let me tell you what we've always done with the money that you give us. It always goes back into the community. And nothing goes to administration or my salary or any of that. So we took $200 of the dollars last year and put it towards the library stairs, and then we took the other $200 and we put it towards the purchase of the kinetic art sculpture. So that's where your money went.
So if you would cash this check this year, what would you use it for?
It'll go into our public art fund. So this year, what we're doing is we are raising funds. We've had a couple of fundraisers already, and everything that we collect in this year is going towards public art that gets installed into our community in 2020.
Yeah. So our wine walk that we did downtown, we're trying to kind of be more diverse instead of asking individuals who have been giving to so many other things in our community that are very worthy. The movie theater, which were those types of things. We didn't want to go back and hit them again, so we tried to look out and see what can we do what can we raise on our own, and then what are our other resources that maybe, we didn't have the opportunity to talk with you and let you know what we're doing. And you know what, we did the one piece, and then we were grant writing for our other pieces, and just happened to do 2 in the same year, and that's what we're looking for this next year.
So you did the sculpture down there where the substation used
Yes.
to be?
Yes.
I thought of KPNL did that.
No.
No.
That's the art association.
Yeah, right across from Blair's.
Westar,
Is there a plaque on it or something that
we
says
went
that?
to, we
Do you have
went,
a plaque on it that says
We
that?
do, but they put, they donated the land for our use. And before we really had a plan going on, they put up that monument. So it probably looks like it's from Westar, but it was actually,
I bet you could ask 100 people, over 90 people would think it was from Westar.
oh wow.
it's okay.
Well,
It's art in our community.
Well, I have.
Well,
Yeah.
Somebody asked me, I said, well,
I
they
read
did
the
that beautification
Yeah.
out there on 4th
Yeah.
Street or whatever, and I just presumed, well, they
They-
did that there too.
That land was never going to be used anything, so we had been looking at it separately for several years.
I had no idea
and did that.
you guys
They did
that.
donate that land. We do have a huge stone there that Bird Memorial did for us that talks about the piece. It's got that bench there, and it does talk about the
I've never
piece
walked
and
there,
then
but
who
I'll
is
be
it.
close.
Yeah, we're hoping it for a visitor, from a visitor perspective,
Oh, it looks
or
like- it
even
looks good.
yeah,
Yeah.
to see the movement, and Bird did a fantastic job on our stone that describes the piece and what we're trying to do.
Did the Art Association have anything to do with, was it I don't even know what you call it, the big substation?
They
Sounds
did
like-
that they did do on their own. So Adventure is
I didn't know
worked
about
on itself.
design or
Yes,
anything
no,
like that.
They did
Yeah.
ask the community what they were doing. That is a famous Amelia Earhart quote. We use it in several things. Actually, the mural the selfie mural that I did with the students from Benedictine College, they used that same quote from Amelia Earhart, and it was funny because they did that right afterwards. So that was sent in, and that was a community effort, but that was completely or a community collaboration. But Westar did all of that to beautify that
They
substation.
did a fantastic
They
job
really
on
did.
it.
It looks amazing there.
Yeah. On something that could look pretty.
It could, absolutely.
Yeah, they did a good job.
Absolutely. They went in and cleaned out those older houses there and put everything behind that wall.
Any comments? We'll put your request out on paper and
Okay.
hopefully. we
And
can do that way.
if your budget is probably in place for this year, if we could come speak again for next year, that's really
That's
our
what we're talking
project.
for now.
For 2020, perfect.
2020.
Okay, perfect.
And am I hearing the commissioner say, go ahead and cash the check that they have? Okay, so
Perfect.
cash your $400 check.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we'll put your budget down.
Well, now, will that be a check that Connie, we had a talk with our auditor about, would that $400 check be in next year if it hadn't been cashed?
No, I think that's further back.
Well, that's further back, okay.
Right, those are from way back.
Yeah, this is this year, current year.
When in doubt, cash the check.
Well,
I also wanted to come and talk to you guys because it had.
But what
We
you're saying,
appreciate that.
you haven't cashed a check, but you plan on taking $200 and put it towards a project that's been done?
Mhm.
Okay. And I had no idea.
We're
what that
working
was.
on lighting. That was one of the other projects that Westar has not been able to do. So we were looking at some solar lighting. So at night, when it's hitting that metal, it will really reflect when it's moving.
Mhm.
That's a part of the piece of it. And then around the column, we have some things that we have planned on doing there as well. There's a compass rose if you walk up towards it that lays down because it was inspired by Bethany, who was at our local airport. She was the manager of the FBO, and that was our people piece inspired by her. And so we wanted to include some of the history of our town in it as well, by aviation history, by using that compass rose. So if you do walk up there, Henry, you'll see that there's a compass rose and a little more detail on that stone.
Another subject, there's the murals on a couple buildings in town,
Mhm.
like one down on the lumber yard.
Mhm.
Are those fading or is that?
They are, no, the one on the lumber yard, it was meant to do that. We sealed that with a UV protectant and a graffiti protectant. We didn't think we'd need the graffiti protectant, but it was a little bit more to do it, so I went ahead and bought it just to make sure.
Has that just happened recently? Because I saw something on Facebook, and it looked like when they were painting it, it was the was it Jesse Owens?
Jesse Stone.
Jesse Stone,
Mm-hmm.
and like something was just happening with that within the last couple of weeks. So
no, we did it a year ago. It was after that. The material that we used on there is we call it pancake batter, but you get it at our hardware store, and it looks like pancake batter, but it is actually the adherent. The UV protected, we really didn't need on the green and blue colors. We needed it on the red, on the one that we did on 6th Street or on that glass. That was the one we really needed to protect. It's those walls that are facing, that's a little more protected where it's at. That one on 6th Street down from Palucci's, that the reds and the yellows and the oranges are what fade really badly. But it did kind of tone it down some when we did that about a year ago, and it does take a while to cure. But the Homeless Sliced Bread with his Chillicothe in Missouri, he doesn't use anything on his. He has 22-year-old murals. We use the product that he used underneath, but his have not faded. Or you'll notice, like up from Sonic, there's one on the wall behind Aaron Hollis's, and that one's picking off. They didn't use that same material, so it's peeling off. And that's what that material, it actually hardens more than concrete, 3 times as strong as concrete, that batter that we use. So, but yeah, it did go on, and they're looking at doing Heavy Johnson, like a baseball card. We had looked at that when I was still at the chamber, and they're bringing that back out. So they're doing, and so that maybe they've been talking about Jesse Stone because we did get a grant for him when we did that with the chamber. But Heavy Johnson was played for the Negro Hall of Fame, and he was from Atchison and pretty famous baseball player. He just came off the bench. They said, Heavy, get out there, and he's the first one that hit it out of the park at Kansas City. So anyway, they're looking at a baseball card for him. So.
Cool. Thanks a lot for coming in.
You bet.
Thanks
Thanks,
for what
guys.
you do for the community. Stacy Waggle, solid waste manager. I've seen a lot of you today.
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll come eventually.
So I'm presenting the update for the Atchison County Solid Waste Management Plan. Everything in it is the same as it was last year. It's due for a total rewrite in 2020. The only change that I have is the new member that we're adding. And I did contact Huron, Lancaster, and Muskota. We needed a representative for a third-class city, and I emailed and spoke to all 3 of those cities, and Lancaster didn't have a nomination, and Muskota didn't have a nomination, and I got 2 nominations from Huron, Rebecca Sturton and Colton Coy, and it was moved in the Solid Waste Committee meeting this morning to ask Colton Coy to be on our committee. So that will be the only change that I have for this plan.
So we needed a motion to adopt this?
Yes, please.
So has everybody had a chance to look at it? I would entertain a motion to adopt the 5-year plan.
I so moved, Mr. Chairman.
I will second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Passes 3-0.
That's all I have.
Is there a signature or anything that needs to be on there?
No, I just sent it back to the state, and like I said, next year will be the complete rewrite of that in 2020. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we all got an email from Tiffany Humphrey. I thought they was going to up there today, but I don't see them on the agenda.
Next week.
Oh, it's next week.
Monday,
Pardon me?
in the morning.
Okay.
Michelle, this is a continued discussion. I'm going to leave it in here.
Okay, absolutely.
So I don't think we're quite ready for that yet.
I didn't want to pull it out if it needed to be there.
Yeah, okay. Well, you might leave it there until we figure out what we want to do.
Sure.
And I think we got all the bills signed off on. County Councilor update.
Well, the tax sale tomorrow, 10 o'clock here at the courthouse. Planning on having it in the district courtroom because it's not busy tomorrow. There's not a jury trial going on as we anticipated. Joe Warren from the city had talked to the city about having somebody talk about what special assessments there might be looming, and he did agree to come, and I think he's going to have a handout to give to people that may be interested in bidding on special assessments that may be levied on property that's purchased at the sale. Those special assessments will still be the responsibility of the buyer, whether they occur prior to the sale or after the sale. Any of them that are assessed in 2019 will be their responsibility, the purchaser's responsibility. And of course, we want to make sure everybody understands that before they bid, so that they're not coming back later and saying, if you had told me this, I wouldn't have bought it. It's all your fault that I own this property now. So we have that. We have met, that is the county clerk and myself and the sheriff and the treasurer and Roger Denton from downstairs, and about the process, and I think we're working on having it a little bit faster on the checkout than we had it before. We've got that down, I think, to a single document instead of having an affidavit signed at one area and then having a receipt at another, and so on. So that should be good. Next week, if I won't be here at the meeting next week, but after the sale, I would certainly welcome any suggestions about how to improve that process. So while it's still fresh in everybody's mind, so we're not waiting several months before.
And I added to the joint city county meeting.
Okay.
To give a presentation.
What's our current penalty? 15%?
Well,
Raise it
the
last year.
penalties are set by state statute, and the interest rate, it used to be a variable interest rate, and it went up if you had more than $10,000 in taxes owed. A couple of years ago, the legislature changed that to a flat 10%, so it's a higher interest rate than most people have been used to. And we don't. That's nothing we have any control over. That's set by statute. Any property that goes into the tax sale is also responsible for a fair portion of the abstracting costs that are required, the publication costs that are required. We had a $6,000 publication bill, I think a month ago maybe, and that is set by the court here, and it's been set at $400 per parcel plus a percentage of the taxes that are owed, and I think it may be 10% of the delinquent taxes that are owed. Each individual taxpayer may ask for a hearing with the court on whether that is a fair amount, but we haven't had any of those hearings, so they would pay those court costs as well. I think we had 4 redemptions this week. I know that I've gotten 7.
Just had one today.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Can we assess another fine for repeat offenders?
No.
No.
The only penalty, if you will, for that is that they're not allowed to purchase property at a tax sale.
Well, I thought we already had that anyway.
Well, that's by state statute.
So we're dealing with state statutes, not any rules. Fire County.
Almost all of them are, yeah. So locally, we do have the rule, if you will, that the name that you register under is the name that the deed's going in. I guess that's not a state statute, but it's just a lot of, I think, unnecessary work to contact each one of them and find out how they wanted their deed done after the sale, when they could just as simply tell us before the sale happens. But for the most part, yeah, it's state statutes on what the rules are.
So we're getting pretty close to being under 40 then, aren't we?
Yeah, we're under 40 now.
Because we was 41, 43, and we had 7 come on.
Yeah.
Shame we got to go through all this work.
And
It's to collect taxes.
yeah, and I haven't added in the new ones from this week, but we're up at $250,000 that's been collected. That doesn't count current year taxes, so because those were assessed or became due after our case was filed, but they're still paid. But I didn't bother to go through to do the math on how much those would add to it. But I think that's all on the tax sale.
Have we had any discussion? Maybe I shouldn't bring this up now. We talked about buying a piece of property near the county shop. Is that still a discussion point?
I think if you wanted to, the land, you may want to go into executive session to talk about acquisition of real estate. I can say in general, the owner during the lifetime of the owner, it's not likely to be sold.
It's not likely to be sold.
Right. Voluntarily.
Okay. Anything else, Pat?
We are coming along with a lot of positive discussions anyway about getting right of way wrapped up, and I'm really hopeful that in the next week or 2 weeks we'll have all of them ready to go on the bridges that we've selected or that you've selected. That's all I have.
Any need for an executive session?
Yes, I believe we need to go back into executive session. And I'll move that the Board of County Commissioners recess into executive session at 2:10 p.m. to discuss personal matters of non-elected personnel as allowed by K.S.A. 75-4319B1, and that the purposes of the closed session is to protect the privacy rights of the employee, and that the board come out of executive session at 2:40 p.m. in the commission room, first floor courthouse, and those present will be the 3 commissioners and Pat Henderson, county councilor.
I'll second that motion.
It's moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
For executive session.
What time do you say we're coming out?
2:40.
So,
Okay, we're back in the open session. We're going to have to go into recess, so I'll make a motion that we recess for, what, 5 or 10?
I don't know.
10 minutes.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
It's moved and second that we go into recess. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Pass 2-0.
We're on.
Okay, we're back.
Well, we're back in session. The chair will entertain a motion.
Yes, I'll move that the Board of County Commissioners recess into executive session at 2:55 p.m. for consultation with an attorney for the public body for which will be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship as allowed by K.S.A. 75-4319B2, and that the purpose of the closed session is to protect the confidentiality of the discussion, and that the board come out of the executive session at, how long do we need?
How long, Pat?
10 minutes.
3:05 p.m. in the commission room, first floor courthouse, and those present will be the 3 commissioners Pat Henderson, County Councilor, and is Treasurer going to be here?
Yes.
And Connie, our County Treasurer.
Okay.
We need a second.
I second it.
Oh, sorry. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0. But what do you got in that cup?
I have,
Okay. Back in.
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
I'll still be over. Yeah.
We need to have everybody available here.
I don't know whether Roger is back. Did you?
Want to check?
Of the executive meeting, well, I don't feel like I'm on public. Roger coming up.
We're going to find out here.
I see. I'm not going to say nothing when it comes up, so you two come in because I want to say something, but I don't think we want that to be how it gets to work. How's your dad doing?
Pretty good. Right there it is. This would be under personnel matters.
How's your shoulder doing?
Getting better.
Is it? It's been last Thursday, so 5 days. 6 days.
Do you have real cutter cut?
Yeah,
I heard that's a booger.
Huh?
I
Yeah.
heard that's a booger.
Yeah. Torn meniscus
Oh.
and bone spurs and a rotator cuff.
Oh, that don't sound fun.
So anyway, heading up Thursday, I'm starting to move, working probably 5 hours today, 4 hours yesterday.
Okay, I'll move that the Board of County Commissioners recess into executive session at 3:10 p.m. to discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel as allowed by K.S.A. 75-4319B1, and that the purposes of the closed session is to protect the privacy rights of the employee, and that the board come out of executive session at 20 minutes or half hour at 3:40 p.m. in the commission room, first floor courthouse, and as present will be the 3 commissioners, Pat Henderson, County Councilor, and Roger Denton.
I second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Move the second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're now in executive session. Back in open session. I think we've come to the end of our agenda for the day. Kind of a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
I'll second it.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned.